How do we get America to a better place politically? You want to be in a better place.
Well, I'll tell you, in a bit. Someday that may be true, as in, oh, America's in a better place now. Oh, I wouldn't worry about it. Its suffering is over.
Wow.
Which, I don't know. I don't think that's the kind of better place you have in mind. No. I hope not.
No, definitely not.
No, well, history tells us that families are the building blocks of communities. Communities are the building blocks of states, counties. States and counties, provinces are the building blocks of nations. Over and over and over in this series I've said, and I'm going to say it again, you need to focus on doing what you can to make your immediate area better. Focus on the public practice of your faith and inviting other people to join you, especially non-Catholics. Focus on getting to know your neighbors. Focus on local historical preservation and conservation. Depending on where you are, believe me, there is everything from historic houses to parks that need help. There are different civic and fraternal things going on that you can take part in and should. And this is all before even talking about the political aspect of things. Why? Because if you want to get involved in your town's politics, where, by the way, most of the laws you live under are actually made, you need to come there as someone who's shown some concern for the community where it lives. And that means doceting at the park. That means helping to keep the Judge Jedediah Washington House open. You know, that's the mansion that was left to your local historical society 38 years ago when the judge's last living great-great-granddaughter died and left it to them. These kinds of things are not glamorous, but they're very important because you need to get involved and to bring your faith and your views and your ideas to the local scene, where people may not agree with you, but they will value your effort, if only because it makes the road easier. And again, I mean, I've seen Planned Parenthood chased out of local towns. You may not be able to get the thing defunded at the state or federal level, but you might be able to get them to decide where you live isn't a nice place, and it's time to go bye. There's all sorts of things like that you can put your attention to. You can learn, reading books of this sort, you can learn the proper principles, the way things ought to be. Why? Because you don't know where you're going to be in 10 years or 20 years or 30. You may, somehow or other, be in a position either to influence the outcome of things or to educate those who might, or educate those who might educate those who might educate those who might. So that's the second thing. And thirdly, you could try to, through the miracle of the internet, you could try to get to know like-minded people across the country and the world. Because it is a much smaller place than it was. I mean, if you think about it, without the internet, the publication of this book would have been impossible. I would never have met Christophe. He would never have read my stuff. I would never have met him. I would never have recommended the book to you, lads. He would never have gotten a hold of his translator, who did one bang-up job.
He did, yeah. Ryan Plummer. Great job, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you put all this stuff together, this would not have been possible before the advent of the internet. Now, one of the things that was told me by a great Catholic missionary was that in his order, they looked at the interstate system that President Eisenhower installed after World War II, and which so many people, nobody remembers this now, but you see all these interstates. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of houses and places had to be destroyed to build them. You know, obviously not out in the sticks, but in the cities, huge areas were wrecked. And it became a stable of TV shows and movies about somebody's house getting condemned for a new highway. Mm-hmm. A lot of terrible stuff happened. The highways are used to transport some terrible stuff. But you know what else? They allowed this particular order, anyway, to evangelize all over the country in a way they couldn't have done before the war. Similarly, the internet, lots of terrible stuff on it. Awful stuff. But there's a lot of good stuff on it. Virtually everything that's in the public domain is on it now. You can read things that you could never have read easily, and if you don't read French or Italian or German or Spanish or Portuguese, or whatever language something you want to read is in, the miracle of Google Translate is at your disposal. Granted, the Googleese is never quite, I know, but it's getting better all the time. It really is, I know, because I check a lot. So, that is my advice to you. I hate to get all new agey on you, but think globally, act locally. That is my advice.
Just a side note, mind you, I'm just a low-level cog in the giant machinery of Tumblr House. But I've heard whispers from the top floor that there is a sequel to this book in the works.
Wow.
That will be covering the solutions. See, Christoph, in the beginning of the book, he says, don't worry about the solutions yet. We're just going to talk about the flaws in the system. Next book, solutions.
I'm looking forward to that. And how is everything up on the top floor? I'm only a lonely writer.
I don't know. I'm not up there. I'm just a low-level cog. I mean, you're going to have to ask somebody else that one.
Gosh. You know, the funny thing is, Tumblr House is so extravagant. Their secretarial pool is a pool where the secretaries go swimming. That's, I mean, you don't think we could go up there, do you?
No, it's posh.
Yeah, I'll say. Gosh, you don't think I could get to use one of the company cars, do you?
No, I don't think so.